welcome to today. This is day 2, and I wanted to welcome especially any advisors who I don't already know. And there were some yesterday. Alexander, welcome. I don't know you, but I hope to get to know you. And also really wanted to thank Nancy for yesterday. It was incredible. And also want to thank Marianne. Marianne is the logistics person behind this whole thing and has been doing an incredible job. Thank you. I have quite a few slides today, and I'm going to go right into them. I'm going to share my screen, and we will have a chance to talk and bond and all that a little bit, but that I'm hoping will come out, especially we're going to go into a, yeah, here we go. We're going to go, we're going to have a, sorry. Hi. We're planning at least to have one happy hour coming up just to talk about what we're all up to and so on, the sharing we don't get to do during this thing today. And we also have some other great plans, which I will bring up at the end of my presentation. So hi and welcome. So today my topic was called Remote Fall 2020, Ready or Not. Some stuff in the blurb I'm going to do and some I'm not. So that's what it is. And then the workshop after mine is what your students need to be successful Mojo reporters. And I really need that because that was a downfall for us this past spring, not doing a lot of Mojo. And yeah, so let me continue. Okay. So everything can go wrong always, as you know. Okay, so yeah, so I'll introduce myself. I'm Cecelia Deck. I'm the president of JACC, and I've been an advisor for 10 years, and this is me before the spring quarter started, this photo. And so I really earned Rich's badge because my hair turned gray. And no, never mind. This is me when I was a reporter at the Detroit Free Press 30 years ago. Okay, I just thought I'd share that. So today, my part is a 3-part presentation, one icebreaker and check-in. And this is part of what I'm doing today is going to model what Nancy talked about yesterday, and part is not. So this icebreaker check-in is definitely what I did in the classroom during my synchronous spring. And my spring was April to June. And, we're the only quarter school in JCC. So we're kind of like, well, we've done it, been there, done it, and we'll learn from that. The next part of my presentation, teaching in synchronous Zoom, which is what I did for the spring quarter, what I'm planning also for the fall. The class time of my student production class, news media production class, is 100% synchronous. So we're going to be meeting, basically it's called 3 hours per week. And I'm also going to teach mass comm, which is half synchronous and half not synchronous. That was because none of the part-timers wanted to teach synchronously at all. And I wanted to offer that for the students who really need the synchronous part of things. And then the next part is JCC going forward. So a lot of information to pack in, and I hope I'm not boring or whatever. I hope okay. And my clicker's not working. So, okay, I just have to remember that. So here's the icebreaker. What brought you joy yesterday? This can be anything that happened in our training, our online training in Zoom, or anything else. And this is the type of icebreaker that I have with my students. I'm going to stop sharing. And this is also what I do in class, which is to call out individual students. And so a very quick answer, and I'm going to do it in the order that you guys appear on my computer. I'm going to start with Nancy. And we can put that in the chat box in case people are showing up, because what brought you joy yesterday, basically.
Okay, so what brought me joy yesterday was we have a deck that my husband built in our tiered backyard, and looking up, lying down on the couch, looking up at our persimmon tree and seeing the green and the blue of the sky.
Very visual, thank you.
And also
Judy.
being done, by the way, with the presentation.
Yes. Judy, what brought you joy yesterday?
Unmute.
Unmute. Everybody unmute before you talk, okay? Thanks.
Sorry about that.
No
It
problem.
was great. It was great to see everybody yesterday, and I spent a lot of time in my garden, and that's very peaceful and colorful and just really great.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Cindy, what brought you joy yesterday?
I had one moment of extreme joy, like I haven't had in years. My son's book, I don't know if you can see it.
We can't because of the background.
Because of the background. Let me choose it. Get rid of this.
Put it right in front of you. There you go. Oh, there you go. Now you can see it.
Can you see it?
Yes.
Nationals Abroad. It arrived from the printer yesterday. This is my son's book that was just published, his first book, and it's amazing. So
I have to write down the name.
that's my moment of not only joy for yesterday, but joy for the year.
For sure. Beautiful. Thank you. On my screen, I'm going to go to Kathleen.
You know, I think my moment was just a long FaceTime chat with one of my dearest friends.
Connection. Great.
Yeah.
Marianne.
For me, I felt such relief when we were done yesterday because I've been nervous about this, but I live for engagement, and I started started up an activities committee in my neighborhood that we used to have when my kids were little, because we've recycled and we have all these new families. So I'm really excited about maybe summer's finally going to start feeling like summer for me.
Beautiful. Thank you. Patrick.
So in addition to being able to meet with all of you yesterday and get all the other cool tips that are going to be helpful in the fall, in addition to all that, I had two things yesterday. One was I finished reading a book for one of my classes that I'm taking this summer. It's nice to just get that book finished. And the other thing was I played some poker last night and I won. So that was awesome.
Yay. Won poker. Wow. Okay. Rubina, what brought you joy yesterday?
You know, our family is adding a puppy to our family, and we haven't gotten it yet, but it's a golden doodle because we love poodle mixes. And I have been following these Instagram accounts on golden doodles every day. It brings me so much joy, and my kids think I'm crazy. I'm the crazy dog lady, but it's okay because I love it.
Okay, thanks. Thank you. Sharon. Sharon just joined, but we're talking about what brought you joy yesterday. Very brief responses, please. And it can be anything in your life, not just if you attended yesterday, which I can't remember. Hi, Sharon.
No, you know, I wasn't here yesterday because they had a HR training for us, and then the Black Minds Matter. But let's see, as far as what brought me joy yesterday, my son has, so my son is the only child, and he has started speaking for his giant stuffed bear that he has. So that's a little worrisome, but at the same time, it's pretty funny. And it was just funny listening to him and his friend on Messenger Kids, like they were doing all these voices and stuff like that. So that was pretty funny. So that brought me joy yesterday.
And welcome to the meeting.
Charlene. Yeah, I'm sorry I joined late. It's a little bit of commotion here around the house, so I apologize.
No problem. Charlene.
Good morning. Yes. So yesterday, what brought me joy was it was kind of like my Friday because I'm teaching actually face-to-face on campus at Diablo Valley College for Kids. I was surprised that we were still moving forward with it, but so I teach Monday through Thursday. I have 2 students in my class, a 7th grader and a 9th grader, and they are working on putting a magazine together, and they have already designed, just those 2, 10 pages. So wow. I was super excited about that. My goal was that they would design at least 6, and we walked out of the classroom with 10 designs. So I was like, yes.
Okay, thank you, Charlene. I would like to talk to you about that sometime.
Okay.
Non-COVID. Jean.
I got a call yesterday from my 2017 editor-in-chief, and that morning she had been offered a full-time job by the LA Times.
Woo! Okay, that is great. Great news. Rachel.
Good morning. I think for me yesterday, my joy was it's so hot here in Sacramento, but I went for an early morning walk and then a late evening walk, and it was nice and cool, and we have the breeze, and it just felt really just restorative in so many ways.
Oh, that's great. Thank you. Reminds me to go out walking even if it's hot. Yeah, it's not Sacramento here. Okay, Alexander.
Oh, for me, it's just having dinner with my wife. It's hanging out, not being in front of screen.
Oh, yes. Yep. Good. Real life. Okay. Josh, what brought you joy yesterday?
Well, I made myself a really delicious cookies and cream milkshake when I got home last night. So that was really something I was looking forward to. But as you may know, I'm also a working reporter. So I wrote 2 stories yesterday, and I don't know, when you cover a government meeting and it's complicated and you get done and you're like, wow, I actually made sense of this. That always brings me joy, at least to me. Hopefully other people feel the same way. But just working, writing stories, and just that fulfillment you have when you're done, that brought me joy.
Oh, excellent. Yeah. I miss those days back at the Detroit Free Press 25 to 30 years ago. Okay. Rich, what brought you joy yesterday?
Well, there were several things that brought me joy yesterday. About 3 days ago, my adult son woke up with a fever. And of course, we thought the worst. And he had it for a couple of days, but yesterday morning, he texted us and said the fever was gone. He was feeling better. He's still going to take some protocols just to be sure. But that was a big relief. And then second, JACC has been such a big part of my life over the years. It's great anytime I get to see you guys. And so that brought me joy. And then I attended a third webinar yesterday put on by CMPA that I thought was very good.
Yeah, we got your email, which I haven't read yet, but I will. Thank you. We're going to rush now, but I certainly want to hear from Patricia and Tara. So I'll start with Patricia. And what brought you joy yesterday?
Hi, I was going to say something that I was part of a committee on campus as I'm past academic senate president now. We spent a year complaining about our program review and finding flaws with it. Yesterday, we decided to actually go on a 1-year hiatus with program review college-wide so that we could take time to actually fix the process. But then I decided that was just too bureaucratically sad. So what I'll tell you is that I swim, I'm trying to swim because I swim all the time, and we're limited to 2 times a week. That's all the local pool will let people swim. They put us in these really short lanes, but every now and then you can get into a 50-meter lane where you can really swim. And yesterday morning, I got a 50-meter lane for the first time since March. And that brought me enormous joy. But mostly it was seeing you guys and reconnecting with JACC. So yeah, program review, swimming, JACC was quite a day.
Yay, welcome back.
Thank you.
And I'm going to go to Tara.
I launched my new social media class, which is like a hybrid of mass communication and marketing all together. And we've been waiting all summer to see if it's going to run because enrollment is low, but it looks like it's going to run starting on Monday. And the class has 3 of the 4 weeks done. So I feel like I accomplished a little bit of something.
Yay, that's great. Thank you. My joy, I looked at my enrollment, which just opened on, registration just opened for fall on Monday, and I have 12 students in my reporting class. The reporting part of the student media production class, and I can't tell you how much joy that brings me, because it's, I mean, just whatever, yeah. So that was my joy. Okay, I'm gonna go back to sharing screen. Whoops. Okay, stuff happens. Okay, share screen. And talk about teaching synchronously, the production class. That's not what I want to do. I want to present. Okay. Okay, teaching synchronously in Zoom. So here's what we would like to see when we teach and when we attend anything, right? A bunch of, well, what do we like about this? Students they're engaged. They have their screens on. They're paying attention, obviously. They're happy and expressive. And they're not in bed. Okay, so that's what I would like to see. But instead, what we see is, this is what we're more likely to see. So in this picture, there are people looking at their phones, looking at something else, talking to someone else, screens off and distracted. And there are some people paying attention and slightly expressive. Oh, shoot. But that is the reality, right? What we're more likely to see. And I can be disappointed, or I can say, no, here's what's going on in real life for folks. The device that they're on might not be very reliable. Therefore, they turn off their screens. The bandwidth issues. They are distracted by other devices because that's life. Etiquette, things are not actually necessarily due to etiquette. They're in bed because that's the only place in their house they can be privately. They're back to the devices and the bandwidth. They're sharing devices with other people in their house who also have to be on there. They're sharing Zoom time, which is the same with me. I mean, Zoom presence online, because my husband's working from home now also, and things happen. And life can include tons of things, right? We have our lives and we know that. So the COVID-19 stuff, once the Black Lives Matter issues started coming forward and students wanted to express themselves, and that's legit, and all of that, and an extreme amount of stress to everybody. Everybody, is, you guys all know about that. And then something I would call Zoom fatigue, which is everybody experienced that yesterday, I'm sure, after 2 hours. It is real. And so that also affects how people are presenting themselves in Zoom. So all those issues exist. So it's not, I'm not going to blame students for things. It's just what it is, and just make the best of it. So I'm going to, this is compare and contrast. So I'm comparing what the classroom was like and what Zoom is like. Classroom, when I'm teaching in class, I prepare the day's lessons and interactions, you know, what's going to happen in class. I grab handouts, worksheets, go to class, right? My coffee I always have with me. In Zoom, however, so I prepare the day's online lesson and interaction online. So how am I going to present stuff, and how are the students going to interact online? I have all tabs ready on my computer. You learn that really quickly because the downtime in Zoom is very painful. Set up my computer and open Zoom. And so the question might be, wait, I have to set up my computer. What are you talking about? And this is where I'm going to bring in a bunch of suggestions from my own experience and consulting sources and stuff. And yes, the answer is yes, you do have to, or you should. Eye level. So you notice I'm speaking at eye level here, and it's because I put a box under my computer, and that is strongly recommended. And the difference between eye level and not eye level is this. Now, this woman has stuff on YouTube. First of all, her makeup, oh my God, but she has all kinds of stuff on YouTube with her tips and so on. And you can see the difference, even if she's not wearing the same makeup in the first one as in the second one. You can see that there's a difference in presentation there. So I want to be that excited person who's looking straight at the camera or straight at the screen as much as I can, and not looking up or down. Well, up is okay, actually. Some people say up is okay. The down has another downside, which is the chins, I will say, but I won't go anywhere with that. So that's a downside of looking down. Front lit. So I'm not perfect here. I am side lit. And in my beautiful setup that I had before my son moved back home temporarily, I had a green screen and I had a beautiful front lit thing, but nowhere else in the house could I replicate that. So this is what it is. So here's the issue with not being front lit. It's looking like that when you could look like that, right? And not everybody has the resources to do this, but I would strongly recommend, to the best of your ability, try to be front lit so that your students see you, so that you don't appear to be hiding or something like that. I had to get over a whole lot of what would you call that, shyness about cameras, because I also recorded video for the other class I was teaching, and I just had to get over it. I don't look like I did 30 years ago, I admit it. Okay, audio. So audio, this is the simplest ways to do audio, and what I'm not recommending at all is computer audio. It doesn't sound good. So there's the lavalier, which I took home some lavaliers from school when we shut down, and I haven't done this because now that the son has moved home, what was my reason? Oh, because I can't hear as well as I'd like to when I'm using a lavalier, and I'm listening to computer sound. So I didn't do that. This thing I'm wearing right now, this is the gaming type of headphones, which have the microphone in them. I also bought fancy microphones, and I'll tell you, they did not work. One, I mean, not many, but one, it didn't work. And I kept trying it, and finally I had to, I realized I had to send it back, but it was too late to send it back to Amazon. So now I have this thing, podcast microphone, supposedly the best in its price range, did not work out. So that's my recommendation about audio. Background. So this background, of course, that I have is my, Manhattan loft. Not, but I like it. And so what I did in the synchronous class, the synchronous production class, I use this always. When I was in ed board meetings, I would change and play around and stuff, but the actual class, I was always in my beautiful Manhattan loft. But here's some other things you can do. You're going to play Jeopardy that day. Why not have Alex Trebek's soundstage? The next one here is to my right is a De Anza College shot, which they sent out, which I wish in my 10 years almost of advising my students had ever taken that picture. Oh well, but the college did, and they gave it to us. And then the typical, office looking thing. And people say that when for professors, they want to have books in the photo, whatever, yeah. And then the backyard scene, which people often say, is that your real backyard? Well, the thing is, around here, no one has brick walls, but it's kind of pleasant. Many students go in their backyard, so it's pleasant. I like that. And the thing about the backgrounds, you have to have a higher CPU, or what, I don't know what they're called anymore, computer, to be able to use it without a green screen. I actually had a green screen in my beautiful studio that I set up, which I had to move out of when my son came back. Anyway, so another compare and contrast. So in the classroom, I walk around. I never ever sit in the classroom. I write on the board. I have eye contact with people. If people are sleeping, I nudge them. It, goes on and on. I mean, I'm not going to stand still. I have my clicker, so I can walk around the room and click if I'm using a PowerPoint. I present my maximum, this is over the years, 20 slides in 20 minutes. And I try to have at least 2 activities per class. It's never going to be one activity. Oh my God, no. And that's in an hour and 15-minute class. My mass comm classes are longer, and we do 3 to 4 activities. Zoom, the suggestion is to stand up to teach, because to make yourself feel more dynamic, because you have to be really dynamic to teach online, way more so than you would imagine. I tried that today. I tried to do a setup for that, but I couldn't get it together. So I'm going to try that in the fall, though. I'm going to try to have a better setup. And then for the slides, up to 10 in 10 minutes, because people can't take it. And you guys are going to be witness to that today, because I'm going on for more than 10 minutes in the slides, and you will witness that. Plan for 3 or 4 activities in a 1 hour and 15-minute class. More activities, shorter activities. That can also be a problem because, as Nancy was mentioning yesterday, you're trying to bring in different things to keep them engaged. And I'll mention some of Nancy's stuff a little later. Back. Sorry. Oh, that was forward. Okay, sorry. Ooh. Okay. Assigning. So in the classroom, the editors are on the whiteboard and they're assigning, and staff raise their hands to take assignments. They volunteer, they ask questions. My class is always clapping. We're later in the day, so we're not interrupting people next door, but they're constantly, you take a news story, you get almost a standing ovation, right? There's all kinds of feedback going on. And then the EIC is with her laptop and his, and is assigning stories in Flow. When you assign a story in Flow, it creates a Google Doc. So it's a very cool thing. That is a SNO product. I'm not doing an ad. So in Zoom, the editors share a screen in they're going to share their Google Doc. One issue that came up when we're meeting in our Ed Board meeting, we have a Google Doc in which they're saying what they're going to present, but there's way too much information. So when an issue was making it simpler, talking more and reading less when you're presenting it, because in classroom on the whiteboard, we call them slugs, just like the name of the assignment, then they're talking about the assignment. Anyway, so moving along in the synchronous class of assigning, I thought was something we need to pick up on. They present, they share that screen and present it, and students volunteer by voice or in chat. We decided to do that because of the connectivity issues and such. And I had a TA. This is fantastic. This is my Perkins employee peer tutor. And she was in my class as always, and she did this kind of thing and monitored the chat room and stuff. I'm very lucky, and I think I will have her back in the fall. Yeah, that's a whole separate assignment. A separate issue to talk about, which is we had another employee we paid through advertising, and advertising is dead, but that's a different meeting, I think, anyway. Okay, the lab. We have our beautiful lab. I'm not going to show you pictures. We were all doing our tombstones to our labs, but it's open extensive hours, really almost every day, almost all day. Editors hang around, they meet staff, they drink coffee. I was a Keurig person yesterday. Yes, we have a Keurig and there's constant coffee. People from campus come in and take the coffees and talk to, it's just a very social atmosphere. Students bond over food and shared experience. They also do a lot of work, but that's what the lab is like. So how are we recreating that in Zoom? Editors and staff meet. So during and after class, my synchronous Zoom class, I have editors and reporters meeting in breakout rooms, depending, like if I'm having an activity, I will put an editor in each of the breakout rooms I'm creating for a little bit of leadership. And also they're communicating outside of class, outside of my purview with text, emails, chat groups, that kind of thing, which that's also a requirement of, I think that's a requirement, but it's a really good thing to have in your online class anyway, where students get to talk to each other. And this was also going on back in the lab days, that they always have their own channels of communicating, which is, I appreciate. Ed board. So we met around our beautiful board table, and our Ed board was updates from me and the EIC. Section editors pitch their ideas. We discuss the ideas. The editors joke around a lot. They bond and they drink coffee. Yes, we're always drinking coffee, including me always. Yeah, okay, so Zoom. So what did the Ed board meeting become? It became a Zoom call, and we have the agenda in Google Docs, same. Updates, same. Awkward. It's just awkward. It wasn't the nice camaraderie feel that we had. And one thing that I realized right away is we need another channel, not a business meeting, but another channel to bond a little bit. Now the editors have that among themselves, but I needed that with editors. So I created something called Editor Coffee and Tea Break on Friday afternoons. We didn't do this throughout the quarter, but we started the quarter with that. So a deeper level of sharing and understanding each other. Oh my gosh, you find out so much. And this is the same kind of information I would have found out. And it's not just curiosity, but allowing for who they are, to figure out who they are, you know. So that I did probably halfway through the quarter, probably 6 weeks. We had those editor coffee and tea meetings, breaks, let's say. Tools, okay, so I'm skipping to something else. Tools I used in my Zoom classroom. Zoom chat, so in Zoom chat, students would volunteer for stories and ask questions. And again, I had my TA monitoring the chat room. Zoom poll, I use Zoom polls for pop quizzes, for surveys. In Google Doc, breakout group. So I form a breakout group, and in the chat box you have, here's the Google Doc, they click on that. Those who can, by the way, because some people are on their phones or their mobile devices, but then, so it's simple things that they can talk about in their breakout rooms, and then somebody's gonna record on the Google Doc what they came up with. So I had a scavenger hunt to find information on the De Anza website and other places. I had 4 groups. So I had 4 pages in one Google Doc, and each one they're assigned to something different. So if they had, one of them would be finding stuff about Academic Senate. One of them would be finding stuff about the Student Senate, finding individual people, that, you know, stuff like that. I can't remember all of them, but that was, we did one scavenger hunt. I would like to have done more. Reply to ethics scenarios. So I always have ethics scenarios, and they're also on my exam. And so have them talking in small groups about, which is exactly what I do in class. They talk about ethics scenarios as a group, and they come up with, here's one argument, here's the other argument. And they always have to have 2 sides, at least, to every ethics scenario. And construct leads. So I have leads. We do this in class where it's on a handout. They're constructing a lead based on this information. And we share, people volunteer to share what their lead was, and we kind of look at it and, you know, what this could have had, what it didn't need, that type of thing. So we did that on the Google Docs and in groups. I want to do more of that only as individuals. We also did Kahoot a couple of times, AP style Kahoots. The students love Kahoot. I can't say enough how much they love it. So what we had as a prize, $5 Amazon gift card for the top editor and top 2 reporters. That's how I decided, because otherwise it's going to be 3 editors getting the prizes, and that's not very fun. And the thing I really appreciated about Kahoot, you can get all kinds of responses later. You can figure out who guessed how many and got how many right. Not guessed, but responded. And one thing that I really appreciated, people knew they were losing and they kept competing. And at one point, our editor-in-chief for the second Kahoot, AP style Kahoot, said she's going to sit it out because she was going to win, right? She was going to win. So, you know, there's a lot of fun in Kahoot. I appreciated that. What I plan to adopt from Nancy's presentation. So Flipgrid for introductions, that's those little videos, and then they're going to go up on one page with a bunch. So before the quarter starts, have all the editors do their own Flipgrid introductions, and then once the quarter starts, have the reporters and staff come in and do theirs. Padlet, that was where we did the graveyard. And what do we miss about De Anza? And we're going to do that because now we're going to have students who have never been to De Anza. And what do they, so a chance to talk about the campus a little bit, talk about the lab, etc. Jamboard stickies, questions and comments. So in class, I give out every few weeks in all my classes a blank piece of paper, and it's questions or comments. You don't have to sign your name. You're not expected to. I take those back and I do a mini PowerPoint answering the questions or talking about the comments the next class. So I'm going to use Jamboard for that, which I hadn't done. Slido, I like the idea of Slido that we use. We had 1 word about your feelings, and I think that's a really great thing because students need to talk about their feelings in these times, more so than I've ever seen, of course. my challenges going forward, editor boot camp, I'm going to plan to use Zoom and Google Classroom, which I don't know yet. I can't use Canvas because it's not a class at that point because the quarter hasn't started, but I'm going to do that. More team building and bonding activities because we usually are meeting 2 to 3 afternoon, evenings usually. We have food, we're in the lab, etc. That's not going to happen that way, but we're going to try to recreate some things, but also more bonding. And Canvas, I hadn't even brought in Canvas, but I'm working on my sites, making them more navigable and better looking. I found a great series. I mean, I'm taking an OEI class, which helps, I guess, but I also found, and I'm going to post these, bite-sized Canvas tips that is just incredible. And that, like, so now I'm doing graphics. Okay, I don't know Illustrator very well. It's hard to learn new things at this age, etc. But you can make incredible graphics in PowerPoint. I guarantee it. Not in Google Slides, but in PowerPoint, you can make really cool graphics. So I'm going to have like a graphic identity for each class, etc. I've already started this. I have longer than you guys have, by the way, because we don't start back until September 21st. And here's a question I'm going to get out of here. And what will you use? I'm not going to call people's name. I'm not going to call people out. I'm going to look for my stop share here. Where is it? Oh, I have to escape and stop share. And just if people could, I have not looked at the chat box, but what will you use? And you can just unmute yourself and talk or put something in the chat box. Nancy.
Hey, I wanted to ask you, I had a question in the chat box about I was intrigued by your coffee and tea, more informal meetings with, on Fridays. And I just wanted clarification, those are on Zoom as well, right?
Yes. Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
Could you give us a little bit more, like just how that works? And I'd just love to know a little bit more. I was intrigued by that.
So I look up online team building activities and icebreakers. I always had something ready to start with, and it was scheduled for 1 hour. And I said, please, have an hour ready, but we could end early. Who cares, right? So it's a little bit more informal, and students brought all kinds of stuff to that just doesn't come out unless you're in a more personal space. So one of our editors had a thyroid condition. She's an international student, and she couldn't get her meds. So she had explained this to the editor in chief, but explaining to everybody why her productivity wasn't so good in the past few weeks. Another guy had COVID in his family, not in his house. And he talked about that a lot. I don't know. I can't think of an example because I can't think on my feet very well sometimes, but just icebreakers or team building that goes beyond how you doing, buddy, or even what brought you joy. That was a conversation we had. What brought you joy, right? Yeah.
And by the way, what brought you joy? I'm definitely going to include that. I love that question. I think it really, hearing everybody else's answers in addition to my own, gave me additional joy. So
good. Yeah, that's part of it, right? Yeah. Ariane, can you let me know if there's anything in chat that we should be responding to?
No, really, there's not. Kathleen asked if Flipgrid was accessible, and I quickly went off and Googled and found the link that explains that it's closed caption. So I think that would be something that I might be concerned about is accessibility of some of these third-party applications. And I guess I don't want to say this. I don't have issues with students who have special needs, but I did have one semester a young lady who had a vision impairment. And so I don't think we really think about that as much as we probably should. So that was a really good question. I really appreciated that.
Yeah, and if the spies ever come in and look at our Canvas classes or look at what we're doing in Zoom, they will ding us for stuff. So you're right. We should always be aware of not do we have one in our class, but what are we doing overall constantly to make sure, and it's thinking about universal design instead of what an individual student needs. So for instance, quizzes in Canvas. So I've had students who get accommodations and they let me know, and then it's very complicated. And I'm like, oh, well, what if everybody has 4 hours to do a quiz? What do I care, right? So instead of me, trying to, it's very difficult in Canvas differentiating stuff. Give everybody 4 hours. Doesn't hurt me, especially if they're not multiple choice, which I try to do a lot of answer quizzes. Yeah. Other questions or comments?
Cecelia, Cindy asked if you would share your scavenger hunt, and I agree with that too, because I have one. So I think that would be awesome.
Okay.
Will you take a break here really quickly? I will ask people eventually to start sharing some of those things like this, rubrics, assignments, things like that.
And I want to share those, just a link to those YouTube videos about Canvas. They're just very easy and very practical and short. So, they're to the point and so on. So good. Okay. Well, we're ahead of time. Yay. Unfortunately, I'm going to launch back into the slides. We're going to talk now about JACC going forward, and then have more time to talk after that. So I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to share the screen. Okay. JACC going forward. First of all, we're talking about a fall virtual conference. So obviously we're not meeting in fall for NorCal and SoCal. We're talking about a merged fall virtual conference. Still, the mail-in awards are being done NorCal and SoCal. We're already entering those and paying for them, I hope. So the talk, and this has just been talk at this point because we need volunteers and such, I'm afraid, but having workshops and contests. Now, the workshop part of it, we had an incredible array of people ready to speak at our canceled spring convention. We had a great schedule. And so almost all of those, and that's something else I wanted to mention about in class. I only had one guest speaker in the quarter. I would have more. The one guest speaker I had was from Student Press Law Center, and he was a big hit. So I had taught them the basics of media law, but they got to ask him questions. They got to test stuff that I had told them just to make sure. They asked about hate speech. He explained it again. And then at the end of it, one of them asked him about what does it take to become a media lawyer. And I'm like, oh my God, I'm blown away, because they're thinking beyond just doing journalism, but actually going to law school. That's fantastic. And she was very excited about that. She mentioned that on her final. I'm digressing. And then contests, and that needs a lot of heads to come together to figure out how we're going to do contests. I see them as possible, definitely, but how? So we're going to need a task force for that. Other updates. I'm hoping we're going to have a happy hour next week. And I will schedule that. It's going to be an evening, or I'll schedule it with Nancy and Marianne, who are my kind of comms team at the moment. Mass comm online training, we should have that sooner rather than later. And anybody who's interested in any of this stuff, email me, please. Fall virtual conference, again, the dates. So somebody emailed me the other day, they need dates to be able to get their funding. I gave them these dates, November 6th to 8th. I like late fall dates because I don't start till the end of September. And Halloween is a no-go, and the weekend before Halloween is the ACPCMA conference that was going to be in Atlanta, and I'm here to tell you they have moved it completely online. That's relevant to us, partly because, okay, makes sense, Atlanta of all places, oh my God, but also that they had the sense to move it online when they needed to. Of course, everything going on this, they're having student and advisor workshops this month, all online. Our convention, remember we're test merging with the ACP convention, is scheduled for February 25th to 27th in La Jolla. I don't think it's going to happen that way. So we're going to see what happens with that. So obviously having our experience with our own fall virtual conference in the fall will help us how to proceed with that convention. So that's updates of times and dates. And how can you help, you ask? Okay. The fall conference, we need volunteers. We need volunteers to figure a bunch of things out and to run things. Also, what is our container? Will Zoom work? I went to a great, okay, not great, very mediocre actually, 2-day thing, 8 hours, 4 hours each day about teaching online. But unfortunately it was the presenters were vendors and administrators who don't know anything about online teaching in the classroom with students who did not choose to be online. Okay, end of story. So some of it was useful, but very little. The container they had was unbelievable. You go there, there's a lobby. You can go into workshops. You can go into, the vendors had their own thing, but that could be a good thing because vendors also pay to be exhibitors. And it was just a really nice, I don't know how expensive it is. I believe it's Cisco. So I'm going to look into what container they had. The thing is, we don't have money. So if things are going to cost a lot of money, we're going to have to find a workaround, which will be in Zoom probably. Contest task force. So people have raised the issue of, we don't have contests reflecting online content, social media social media content, and some other things. Is it time to review our contests? I was disappointed in entering this contest. I said to the students, oh my God, you guys were tweeting out from some of the, Black Lives Matter protests. Where are those photos, etc. Oh, well, they're in Twitter. They didn't bring them together and put them online. So how can we, so that's another whole thing of contest task force needs volunteers. Mass comm training, that would be great. And these are all, email me if you're interested. And revenue sources, that's a constant talk and a constant worry. I know you pay money to be members and stuff, but the expenses are a lot compared to, and we're not having revenue from conferences for the short, for now, and we need to really watch our finances. We don't have money. Content curation. So this is what Marianne was just talking about. We're trying to share, and I will share everything I talked about today, but we'd like to have a place. It's maybe a Google, I don't even know what you call it, Google file at least. But to put a bunch of things, spreadsheets and docs and stuff about all this great content we've been talking about. So that, I would like a librarian who is going to volunteer to do the content curation, not to create the content. I mean, this is just sharing content that we have. Okay. Whoops. One more thing. So Nicole and I have been talking to California Humanities. Some colleges got a grant 2 years ago to do certain things. And it was journalism programs at JCC member colleges and a couple of non-JCC member colleges. So in coming up with the new grant, which is a year late, but that's okay because of COVID, the colleges who already got the previous grant are going to get the grant again, which include De Anza College and where Nicole is, San Diego City, but there are going to be 4 more colleges. So students will receive stipends to work on a special project. It could be, things are a little ill-defined at the moment, but they're going to get stipends, which is money. So you will apply through California Humanities. It's only open to JCC members. This is, what is JCC bringing its membership? This is one of the things. Actually, this conference is one of the things. For every member, they're going to have live virtual speakers, high quality speakers who cost money, Pulitzer Prize winners, and everybody in JCC will have first dibs at that, and it may not even be recorded and go online after that. I'm not sure how that's going to go, but that's a plus. That's another thing that JCC is doing, and Nicole and I are working on that. Nicole from San Diego City. I think that's it. Thanks. Any questions? Email me so it's Cecelia@gmail.com. Please, not my college email because it will get lost. Okay, and now I'm going to unshare, stop share, and bring it back to everybody. And our timing is really good. So this is another time now, because I know people, there's more stuff in chat and people have more things to suggest or say. And so this is a time for that, opening it up. So please share or ask questions or whatever.
Yeah, I'd like to say something, and maybe Cindy can also chime in. It's fun to volunteer. Cecelia knows that. Anybody, Nancy, it's really fun to volunteer. It is not a burden. It enhances your job, I think. That's all I have to say.
And we've been meeting on the weekend just because people don't really have a lot to do anymore because of the, we all know why. And it's not just meeting and getting work done. It is a social activity as well, I have to say. And I love these, I was going to say ladies. Of course, men are, I've been working with a lot of ladies, but everybody's welcome to participate in any capacity, yes. Anything in the chat box or that we need to respond to?
No, everybody's pretty quiet today.
Okay. Well, we actually had built in a 5-minute break, which we didn't get yesterday. So I think we're going to take that 5-minute break, and I'm going to hang around here, but people can come and go, and we're going to start back at 11 when our next workshop is going to start.
Yep.
Celia, can I ask you a quick question?
Karen, yes.
What is that humanities thing that you were talking about, the Cal Humanities thing?
So California Humanities is they gather up grantors and then they specify what they want to support. And one of them is community college journalism, but how? And so one thing about grantors is they want to support what they want to support, right? So sometimes it doesn't fit in with our mission. That's what I found last time when I had the grant, that yeah, that's all. I don't know how else to say that. So it can be awkward, like, okay, they want to fund 4 students to do something. Well, so it's really going to be up to colleges to decide how are you going to choose those 4 students. Are you going to open it up to the whole campus? Are you going to say, if you're in one of our classes in the spring, you can in one of our journalism classes, you could say that. And then what to create. So one thing I want to mention is, Rachel here, Sacramento City College had a grant this past year, I think. Rachel, are you at Sacramento City? Okay. I was told that Sacramento City College Sacramento City had one of these grants. They did an incredible story about formerly incarcerated students on campus. And this was partly due to grant funding. Okay, I don't know how they got it. I would love to get that story. I've heard at academic senate meetings, I've heard people saying, like, why aren't we told that these people are in our classes? This kind of stuff, which is, I mean, our mission. No, I won't even go there, but this was great reporting and very to the point. And that's the type of thing that, so their theme was democracy, and they wanted to do something about the election, but then COVID hit, and they didn't have it together to get the whole grant together, so not on time for that. But I would say probably the grant would start in spring, and you can define who those students are going to be. They really want to fund podcasts. Part of the grant also is professional support. So if they're doing podcasts, there's going to be professional training by people who do podcasts for these students. So that's how grantors want to work. It's always going to be within their thing. So if you want, well, can't they train the whole class in podcasts? No, that's not what they want to do. So it's because they're getting money from the Knight Foundation.
Go
ahead.
So sorry. So we have like a whole media production program at SMC, and we normally have like a radio station, a student-run radio station, and student-run radio rooms and stuff like that. So who would SMC contact? Who's the lead person to see? Because you said that
it's not open yet.
Oh, okay.
So that's what Nicole and I are working on.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, so we're working on it with our contact from California Humanities to define it. That's not done yet.
Oh, okay.
I'm just updating you what JCC is up to. That's one of the things.
Okay, so and then there would be like the schools could apply for it, and whichever schools get chosen, and it's 4 students at each school.
Yes.
Okay, awesome.
And they're looking to expand. There's 2 areas that they haven't covered very well. One is rural and one is LA.
Rural.
Right? Because we had San Diego City College, we had us, and we're Bay Area, and then they had Northern California and Sierra College. I don't know if Jen is with us today, but yeah, so they're wanting to expand that.
Awesome, thank you.
Okay.
Okay, well, we've got about 2 minutes before we're going to have Karen start. So if you want to grab a cup of coffee or run to the restroom, now's the perfect time to do it. Probably have time for one more question here if somebody wants to chime in.
I have a quick question on the content curation. Like, I'm thinking of having Dimphna come and speak to my class, because she's, she retired from Fresno City College, and then she's now an editor at something called Fresno Land, and she's doing a lot of good work. So I'm wondering if, like, can we share that with other people, like all of us, when we have like a guest speaker or something? Just
that's a great idea. So that's a page in our content thing. I'm viewing it as a page, but other people might have a better vision of how to curate.
Yeah, because I bet that some of these people are really going to have a lot of requests, to speak. Like Student Press Law Center, they're always great, but
they have a whole speakers bureau.
Yeah,
like
I know.
People compared to normal times when our class is 4:30 to 5:45 in the Bay Area, it's impossible to get there and to leave. Okay, the traffic situation. But now, how easy is it? Hop online, right? So that's and I didn't take advantage of that enough. But wow, I think you will find that all kinds of guest speakers are available more than they have been. Even
that's great. Good.